Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago, and welcome to another edition of Pep Talks in the Morning. I'm your special guest host, Michelle Davis. I'm Head of Globalization for the Progressive Empowerment Party. We at the Progressive Empowerment Party are busy with this election season. We are on the ground and we continue bringing our quality candidates for your review and getting to know them better. And today we have the candidate for Town, Kim Young Road. Good morning, Kim.
Good morning, Michelle. It's another
How are
bright
you
day.
today? Good, good.
Great,
How are you today?
great, great.
Good, good. So Kim is part of my, I'm head of South Hub also. So Kim is part of my team in the South Hub where have 6 candidates running in the South Hub. Kim is doing some exceptional work in Town, bringing the PEP initiative to the constituents of Town, which desperately need representation. And today we're going to talk to Kim about the issues the constituency is facing. And Kim, tell us a little bit about Town. You know, how would you describe the constituency? What are the issues that they are facing in Town?
Well, good morning, Trinbago, and good morning to the constituency of Princestown. I have been looking very carefully at Princestown. I have a history in Princestown. I sort of grew up there and helped my father in a restaurant on French Street. I know the tramline road, and I know quite a lot of it. In fact, I passed through there for several years, every day on my way to Galuta. The other thing too is that I visited my family there who live there all the time on weekends. I want to say that Princestown, the history of Princestown, I would like to share a little bit on it. It's east of San Fernando. It has an area, the constituency has an area of about 620 square kilometers. That's about a little under 300 square miles. On the north is Piparu. Eastward, you would have it more at Tableland, San Pedro. That's where the eastern boundary is. And on the western boundary is more Manhambre. On the southern boundary, we have Lengua. It's quite a huge area, but what transpired over the years is that the name was Amerindian Mission of Savannah Grande. That was the name. And in 1880, 2 princes, Albert and George, they visited, and the name was changed to Princess Town. And normally people would want to say princess with a double S, you know, but it's really male, Princess Town. And so the town itself was it came about because of the sugar industry. The sugar industry really there was a lot of business in sugar, and there was a need for a business community, and so Princestown evolved and so on. But what happened is that in 2003, the sugar industry was shut down. And so what Princestown is all about? Princestown is all about buying and selling. And in Trinidad, what we do, we buy foreign and we bring it in the store and we sell. Going through the town, I am seeing the rich, the middle class, and the very poor. It's very hurtful. It's very hurtful because when you look at the national anthem, a very diverse community. But the rich would have had got the profit, and the workers would have little, and so you would see the difference. There's a difference. What I have in terms of Princestown, what I would like to see in Princestown is a more entrepreneurial spirit that would take this buying and selling and take it to building and selling. We have such capabilities of building and selling because we have quite a lot of land with the shutdown of the sugar cane, which was needed huge land. There's huge land available, and so
Yes.
if we could take this and make it a manufacturing industries, agriculture, farming, expand it, whereby not just produce just basic stuff, but convert the stuff into things that we normally buy foreign. So we get food
Yeah.
independence. We want to be independent. You have to have whatever you're buying. You look at the what is being buy foreign, and you get to the point where you are making those things. And if you are making quality
Exactly.
stuff, because I believe we have to compare with the external market. Then from there now, we will then start export. And
Yes.
we have our first business partners is in the Caribbean, and that is where our first market really is. So I can see
Yes, Kim.
that we had a town, but we should have had cities. We should have
Yes.
a city, and not only that, there are such areas. I mean, the wide area. One competing thing which I liked and I saw Williamsville. Williamsville is another development in a sense similar to Princeton in size. So this is what Princeton is all about. It's basically you find a lot of people on the roadside selling their agriculture products,
Yes, but
and we could have.
Kim, what are the issues that the constituency is facing? I mean, you're on the ground. What are the issues that are facing the constituents of Princestown? What are their major problems?
Their major problems. One I would say is I would say sustainable jobs. I would say water in the tap. I would say road repairs and traffic congestion. Housing too. Housing is not distributed evenly, and so these are some of the things that I would say affect them. Road anywhere you go, roads is a problem. It's a rural area in a sense, and the 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 major problem they are facing, and I want to put it at the very top: representation. They are not
Yes.
getting representation. So I want to cap that at the top of all of what the specific problems are. And I cap it that they are saying, I haven't seen my MP. And
Right.
that is
Kim.
all wrong. That is all wrong.
Yes. Yes.
You go to vote when it's election and you never see you again. That is not right. So
Yes.
I know, I mean, PEP has her policy on that. And I know that if
Correct.
I get into be the MP, I am going to be on the ground with the people. I am going to be there with them. They're going to see me. I think, I go to community centers and I'm looking at community center. What is the community center for? You get the community leaders at the community center, and you prioritize what you want done. And therefore, we work together to get those items that you have prioritized. And we don't expect to get, if you get a dozen, we start off with the first three and then we work
Yes.
down. Some things could be simultaneous, some things could be, and I would put all those specific problems. I don't want to say what I would want to say. One person doesn't have water in the tap, another person have a road problem, another person. These are specific problems, but the systemic
Yes.
problems have to be addressed.
Agreed, Kim. Agreed, agreed. And what we're finding, Kim, I mean, not only yourself, majority, actually, all of the candidates are saying that people on the ground are saying there's no representation. They haven't seen their MP, elected MP, since the last election. Since 2015, they have not seen or heard of their elected official, and that says a lot for the representation in Trinidad and Tobago. The citizens are feeling abandoned. The citizens are feeling, what are we voting for? Hence the reason, Kim, we have such an issue of so many voters in Trinidad not voting because they feel it's a waste of time because there is no true representation. But Kim, as you're on the ground, how has the reception been to the Progressive Empowerment Party? What are the people telling you about PEP and how has it been towards you running as a candidate?
Well, they are excited about pepper. A lot of people they have seen what we stand for, and they would like to see PEP in government. They would like to see change. They would like to get betterment. They like PEP policies. They have been hearing about PEP policies. The challenge we have faced as people would know that we have not been on the mainstream media, and we have been like Facebook, Instagram, and so on. So the awareness altogether for people who don't have the media that we are using, that is the challenge. But basically, once I meet someone and I tell them that we are a party that you have a choice. You have a choice now. People were voting not because of what they were getting, but what they didn't want in the other party. So they're voting not when they vote. If they vote, they are voting, but it is not because of performance. They're not getting
Right.
performance. They're not getting. So it's just a matter. And we know in some instances, in something, it's a very it is probably on based on religious grounds that they choose a party, or they based on racial grounds. That's how voting has
Right.
been. But now that PEP is on the ground, they have a choice, and it's easy to convert somebody by telling them we are here to deliver results.
Correct, correct. Kim, I know, I know you have been in the oil and gas sector for over 30 plus years. And, I know in South, it has greatly impacted the economy, jobs, and so forth. Do you feel it has had an impact on Princestown in terms of jobs, and so forth, the closure of Petrotrin and so forth, and several plants have closed on the Point Lisa's industrial estate also, Yara, Methanex. How do you think that has impacted constituents and employment in your area?
Well, all over Trinidad, all over Trinidad, you find people who would have been involved in the oil industry. The oil industry is not isolated to um, maybe Faizabad, Santa Flora, Palaseco, but there is
Yes.
the offshore oil industry that is on the east coast. People in Princestown, because of the lack of investment by the government to do what is the right thing, they have had no choice but to go outside to look for jobs. When these jobs are declining for maybe the shutdown of Petrotrin, maybe the shutdown of industrialization in the Point Lisas, it affects everybody. It affects Princestown
Yes.
as well. Right? They are now cutting back. A guy who is with me on the road, he got transport because he does 12 hours, and he is doing 12 hours, but it takes him 2 hours to and from it, but they provide transport for him, and they are now asking him to provide his own transport. Everybody now is cutting back. And so
Yes.
he is going to do a 12 hours or 14 hours. When he reaches home now, you have a 1 or 2 hours to refresh yourself, eat something and whatever. It's just to sleep and go back to work. No
Right.
family life. Now, if you're living in an area and you're working in an area, which is PEP policy is going to provide work in your area. You have a family life, but you have no life when you have to go to all these places. Things are shutting down, and it's such a distance now. Also, to the traffic on the road,
Yes.
that has to be solved.
Major. Yes.
Major problems, major systemic problems, and so on. But those are the top level problems that when you drill down, it affects the people in specific areas. And so, yes, the oil and gas industry, where they shut down, the money isn't flowing as before. Business isn't flowing as it shouldn't be as before, and it's affecting the business community. But Princestown is a shopping community, and yes, we have those who own the business, makes the huge profit. They own the
Right.
super mansion, And the
Yes.
workers, the retail workers, they have little or nothing. The other people who are middle class, they get some government job because being a business community, there are banks, there's insurance, there's schools and so on. So they get a middle class job and they well to do. But what about
Right.
the person who has no water in the tap?
Yes.
You know, so
Yes, Kim.
I
Yes, I agree.
the industry affect everybody.
Yeah, agreed, agreed. And I thought of you because I know, you've been in that sector, and it really has had just an astronomical impact on the economy of Trinidad, that closure of Petrotrin. And like you said, the surrounding communities, but the entire Trinidad and Tobago, in terms of people going offshore, the activity has really become less. And you do make a good point, Kim, in terms of, what jobs are available. I mean, for the average person, it's either retail or, fast food. And where does that get our citizens? They're basically just surviving, right, Kim? They're not getting anywhere off these salaries. And then to the contrast, you have huge business owners that are, living very well. But then you have a great deal of our citizens just making the bare minimum. And I'm sure you see that on the ground, Kim, when you're walking and talking to the constituents. You see citizens that are barely surviving.
Yes. I want to emphasize one thing because PEP is for everybody. And I am not going to say that the super rich should be frightened, whereas the those that are not getting maybe services are going to be happy. But the super rich, I would want them to divert their riches to industrialization.
Yes,
Industrialization and manufacturing and agriculture in a macro scale rather than going this easy road. It's an easy road to just go and buy foreign and bring it in your store and sell and make your profit, and you pay very what you call minimum wage. Or, I mean, it's
yes,
easy to do that, but it is a nice thing because the way I look at it, we have to care for our people. They come first. We have to care for our neighbor. We have to care for them, and so we must want them to have what we have. And I say to do that, you start the business, you start off these new businesses where they are going to earn decent wages that could afford them a good land property and so on, a good a good life. Not
yes.
everybody must work 7 days a week. Some they must be able to take a little recreation as well and enjoy life as everybody else. So I would like the rich people to know that we are going to divert them into manufacturing, help them in the industrialization, move their money so that they can help those that lesser in terms of working for them to a more decent wage.
Yes, Kim, agreed. And Kim, what I've noticed, I've been back in Trinidad for since 2008, and what I have noticed exactly you have said, people are now working like in the U.S. They work 7 days a week now, and I never used to see that in Trinidad. I never would see that level of activity. People working 7 days a week, and what I realized, I mean, I was on Atlantic LNG for almost 7 years, and majority of people, Kim, were working for survival. That overtime and going to work on the weekend was to sustain them with their bills. It wasn't overtime in a terms of extra money. It was actually money that was needed just to survive. And that is a trend that is taking place in Trinidad now. And I'm not too sure about Tobago in terms, because I know here it's a bit more industrial. But in here, you see people working 7 days a week, and it is impacting the home life. And hence the reason you
Exactly.
have to ask, right, the home life in Trinidad has deteriorated immensely. I can, I've been coming here since a child. This has been my second home. I've lived half of my adult life here in Trinidad. And I have seen the deterioration of the home life, Kim, because of persons having to work so much.
Bullseye. Bullseye. When
Yes,
Philip hit bullseye, I tell him bullseye. That is
yes,
number one. Number one is the
yes,
family home. I believe that,
yes,
with a family home that is united, that you're working towards one, good moral values. You teach them integrity. You teach, you don't touch what is not yours. So when that person gets into a position of a job and is holds accountability and responsibility, you know that that person will deliver results. We have lost results simply because people are doing it because of themselves, for their family,
yes,
for their friends, for their supporters. We are playing politics of we and them. We and them. That is not
yes,
what PEP stands for. PP stands for all of us under one umbrella. And that's why I
correct.
mean, that's that's it. That's why I become a
Yes,
politician.
you're
I'm not a
right.
politician. I have to become a
You're
politician.
right. You're right. But Kim, as we're as we're talking Progressive Empowerment Party, what policy stands out for you? What policy resonates with you particularly? I mean, you're on the ground, you're a candidate. What policy really stands out for you, and why? Why do you think it will be beneficial to the citizens of this country?
You make it real hard. 21 good policies, 21 excellent
What?
policies. You want me to put you? I would stop corruption. I think it's number 17
Right.
of the policy.
Yes.
I would stop corruption. You know
Yes.
why? Because at the very head, if you stop corruption, the resources would be directed towards performance. And if you direct the resources towards performance, we would be another Singapore. That's basically it. We would be another Singapore. We started 56 years, 58 years, 57 years, like Singapore. They had no resources. We had everything. And I know that countries that had nearly everything, they fell badly. But countries that held strong to discipline, morality, integrity, they held strong to caring for the nation. The leadership cared for the nation. They thrived and they succeeded and became
Yes.
first world nations.
Yes.
So I would
Kim,
I would want to
I'm
end the
so,
corruption.
yes. I am so glad you
I
mentioned
would,
that policy because the citizens really don't realize how much corruption has really deteriorated our country. We have billions of dollars unaccounted for through corruption. There has been no accountability for 57 years of governance. Where has billions gone is the question we citizens have to start asking. Kim and I have had this discussion of the level of corruption that takes place. You look at the COVID situation. I just read something before we went on air, Kim, and it said, 284 million spent on the grants, but yet majority of the public is saying they have yet to receive the grant. So what does that tell you, Kim? The government is saying
yeah.
284 million, but the citizens are saying, I still have not received a grant. What is that telling you?
But that is not performance. Obviously, one would wonder where did the money go? It's the same thing. It's the same thing right now. I mean, I didn't have to ask much questions when the prime minister says, to one of the citizens, he says, if we don't take loan, we don't have money to pay you. That basically tells me that we bankrupt. We are bankrupt.
Right.
You have no money. Now you're taking loans. You're taking loans to pay loans. And a banker told me, he said that is definitely not the way to go. That's definite. You do not take a loan to pay a loan. You're just digging a hole deeper. And so
Yes.
when you see the people are not getting, you see this we and them thing. My business. I mean, when I was a youth, I play football, and it was about winning, and winning was everything. And it's nice to play sports and to win, but everybody must win. There must be no loser.
Yes.
And that is not something that maybe the sporting world teaches us. Have they taken that into winner and loser? And now an amount to share, and the loser get nothing. I mean, I stated by the state of our rural areas. Princestown is mostly 90% is rural, and there are no money channeled towards the rural areas. I wonder how these people survive. You mean they come out the door, and they go back in? Where are the jobs? The houses are not, most of the houses are not even middle class houses, and they don't have a job, proper jobs, and the rural areas suffer from roads, and people have experienced that over 58 years, and they feel that is the way it is. That is the way how they have accepted that.
It's sad, Kim, because I agree with you. I agree with you in the rural areas. I mean, for Kim is talking about Princestown. I live in Cedros, and I can tell you there are some potholes, Kim, that have been there since I was a child. I mean, it is so neglected. The roads, the infrastructure, the jobs, the development. I mean, when my mother left Trinidad 60 years ago, actually, Cedros was more developed than it is now. So we've actually digressed in some ways in terms of availability. Doctors were down here, nurses were down here. Now you have the opposite. You have a health center that basically has operating hours and really cannot handle major medical situations. So I agree with you, Kim. The rural areas have been extremely neglected. Extremely neglected.
One comment I want to mention about giving relief. I read in Canada that they just gave a certain amount to everybody. And here we were wondering, we were saying, well, they didn't trust certain people. We know in Trinidad there are a group of people that work below the level of the NIS. They work below the NIS. You can't, and not only that, we have unscrupulous employers that do not pay the NIS. And so these people cannot get access to things. So you put me in charge. I'm not going to ask people anything about that. I say this blank check goes out to them. Everybody get. And that's what it is. We will worry about who cheat us after, because we missing billions of dollars and everybody saying they didn't get. So it's better that you give everybody and this problem solved. And they got it in 2 days. Canada did it in 2 days time, and you got your check. So what is going on here? Billions of dollars disappearing and nobody getting. Nobody knows who get.
Right. Exactly.
It is
Kim, that is the point.
Corruption.
Exactly. Corruption to the core, because in the US they did the same thing, Kim. They immediately direct deposit. Canada immediately dispersed to all of their citizens 4 months, $8,000 per citizen for COVID-19. They already from the get-go said 4 months lockdown, we will supply. But here in Trinidad, we had this 6-page application going, and people had to, during COVID, during the lockdown, trying to make copies, trying to submit paperwork. And we're so bureaucratic here, Kim. We're so bureaucratic, and we make it so hard for the citizens to get through with anything. Many people gave up during that process. Many people, out of pure frustration, they just gave up, and they said, you know what, let me go sell something side the road. Let me run taxi. Because they gave, and the system here is set up, Kim, to frustrate you. It is set up deliberately to frustrate our citizens, But Kim, we're approaching our half an hour, and I'm giving you the last minute to tell the citizens of Princestown why they should vote for you and why the Progressive Empowerment Party.
I am in politics because I care about people. And therefore, I have seen the corruption. If you put me in office, the first thing I would want, of course, is I would want PEP to win so that we form the government, with a special majority so that we have the money to deliver. Without the money to deliver, we can't repair roads, we can't do the things that are required. But I'm a person, I'm a process person, and I know that I would look at the results that are required by the people on the ground. I'm going to ask the government because I remember the last time in politics, it took quite a while before the people get off the ground to do things for people. So I'm going to ask, Philip, to give about $100 million towards small items, and we are going to go after the quick wins. I'm going after the quick wins. The quick wins is water in your tap. The quick wins will be, the road, and this is a quick win because we could go and do roads that will accommodate your life, your living. And there are big wins that will take longer, like the sustainable jobs, but there are housing that we could get for people, proper housing. So we are going to look for the quick wins, the low-hanging fruit. And with this 100 million in terms of $40 billion per year, 100 million to share among the constituents to give them the immediate result, the immediate relief. And then once we deal with the immediate relief, they'll be planning the bigger systemic problem to get all the other reliefs that the people require for the thing. But now I want to know that the people who need immediate relief, that's the first item on my agenda. I want to make sure that I could quickly deliver that. You think that the common entrance students should not have water in the tap? No, 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 no. I want water in the tap. The children must. We can't do the children that. Okay? So we want quick wins. And I want them to vote for me because I will deliver results. I've always been a result-oriented person, a person who could deliver performance and not just talk, but deliver it with action. So I thank you all. I hope that I get the opportunity to represent the constituents of Princestown. God bless.
Thank you, Kim. Ladies and gentlemen, constituents of Princestown, this is a man of integrity. This man has been on the ground with me personally since I joined PEP. We have walked a lot of South regions together, and not once did I ever call Kim and Kim was not available. So you do have a quality candidate. You have a candidate that is ready for representation and ready to serve the constituents and the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. So, ladies and gentlemen, you do have a choice. Look out for us this week. Kim is on the ground in Princestown, along with our other 27 other candidates, as we bring the message of the Progressive Empowerment Party, as we bring the message of hope to our citizens. So, ladies and gentlemen, you do have a choice. You do have a choice. Come August 10th, save Trinidad, vote PEP, and make a difference to this country. Kim, thank you once again. Our other candidate is having technical issues, so the program will end early today, but we ask you to join us tomorrow on another edition of Pep Talks in the Morning. Thank you and stay safe.
Thank you all.
Progressive Empowerment Party. Progressive Empowerment Party. Now it's time for real change. We don't want no exchange. PEP is real change. The rest of them is exchange. Now it's time for real change. We don't want no exchange. Now it's time for real change. Say PNT, we vote in PEP. Say PNT, Progressive Empowerment Party. PNT, we vote in PEP. Put your X by PEP. Progressive Empowerment Party. Say PNT, vote. 10, same TNT, so PEP.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Bennett, thank you for joining us. I thought we were having technical issues and you could not join us. But ladies and gentlemen, I bring you the candidate for La Joquette Talpero, Bennett Thomas. Bennett, good morning. How are you? Bennett? I think we are having technical issues. Bennett? So I think I was correct in my assumption that we were having technical issues. Bennett, are you there? Right, so our producer, I believe we do not have a connection with Bennett Thomas. as previously indicated.
Representing the West Indies in the United Kingdom and Canada, and Trinidad and Tobago in Australia. Bennett is the first West Indian to hold the Caribbean Championship title for 3 years. He is active in his community, assisting in the struggle to make Trinidad.
Yeah, I'm here now.
Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you. I couldn't hear you. Welcome, Bennett. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Michelle. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you, sir?
Well, not too bad. Getting my usual
Good. I'm
morning.
glad you could join us. I'm glad you can join us. I know we were having technical issues.
Oh, yes, because my daughter always told me, Daddy, you're technologically challenged. So I have a lot to catch up with
Yes,
technology is
it's
concerned.
okay, Bennett. We're all adjusting, all adjusting. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the candidate for La Joqueta Talpero, Mr. Bennett Thomas, who has been a dedicated member of the Progressive Empowerment Party. So, Bennett, how is it going in your campaigning? How is it? What are you hearing on the ground? What is the feedback from the citizens of Talpero and La Joqueta?
Well, it's mixed and it's based on tradition, I would figure. Because in one aspect, we have the diehards, and they are close-minded. They don't intend to change or try for change. So they're stuck with what they have. I guess that's because of their, like me, technologically challenged. They're stuck back somewhere in the maybe the 60s or thereabout. On the other hand, when I speak to some of the youths, oh, they are so welcoming. They want a better life for themselves. And strange enough, the ones that are stuck are the older people, but the younger children, whom are the future of the country, they want progress.
Exactly. And I believe, Bennett, I don't know about you, but I believe the youth are going to determine the vote, this
Yes.
voting for August 10th. And when I say youths, I mean, 35 and under, 40 and under.
Yeah.
That generation is going to determine the future of Trinidad and Tobago. So, Bennett, what are the issues facing your constituency? What are the major issues facing Quetta Talpero?
I would say the biggest problem is roads. Even in the most dense developments, roads are the biggest issue because, and I'm going to say this, La Joqueta, for instance, is probably, not is, probably, it is the largest housing development in the Caribbean. Going back and looking at the history of La Joqueta gives you a knowledge of why the roads are in such deplorable state. La Joqueta was estate property. It grew sugarcane when sugar was king. Strange enough, they decided to put houses on sugarcane land. So the infrastructure was not there for that kind of development. In my
Yes.
opinion, it was a means of getting into the treasuries funds and channeling a big chunk to some financier. Obviously, if the project is to build houses, there came houses. What are we going to do with the houses now? Okay, we bring in all our diehards and put them in that constituency. So we have a
Right.
support base. And that is not going to lift us as a nation. That is just going to continue on the Ferris wheel. We're going to be going around and around. All we're going to do is change colors.
Yes, yes, you are so right. And Bennett, I mean, what about, employment? Because, the last time, we hear of La Horquetta and, we know they are facing a lot of social issues. There is a lot of crime in that area. What about the youths? What is available to the youths there?
Well, I would say practically nothing because just yesterday on one of my walkabouts, I engaged a young man walking down the street. And when I handed him the flyer, the first thing he told me is that he wanted a government job. I say, well, hey, it's which come first. We can't give you a government job if we are not in the position to give you that job. I say,
Right.
so we believe that we should all have jobs, whether it be government or otherwise. So get us in, and you will surely have a government job.
Right, right. Isn't it, Bennett, I find it very, sometimes almost amusing when we
Yeah,
are doing the walkabouts that people ask you for a job and we're not even in office. Um, you know,
exactly.
yeah, but I think it's the mentality of
Oh
just
yeah,
give me, give me, give me. And
yeah.
what the
Well,
Progressive Empowerment Party stands for is a holistic approach, ladies and gentlemen. It's not about a government job, it is about a better country for all of us,
a better
right?
life for all of its citizens. I usually like to quantify the $3 trillion that eventually came into the country. Because when you say 3 trillion, people can't figure out how much is 3 trillion. But in my calculations, I have figured it out. $3 trillion amounts to 300,000
Yeah,
10-ton truckloads of $100 bills. And what
right.
have we to show for that kind of money?
Correct. It is, we were talking previously this morning to Kim Bennett about corruption. What are your thoughts about corruption in this country and what corruption has done to Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, back to the 300,000 10-ton truckloads. There's only a very few that has benefited from that. Corruption has created the filthy rich on one extreme and the filthy poor on the other extreme. Now the poor accepts that because that's the level of their knowledge. And I
Yes.
would say that on our 21 policies, I go smack in the middle. Number 7 is to me, which deals with education and skills
Yes.
training. I think this is where we are lacking. Knowledge is power. And if we are
Yes.
kept redundant, that's what we're going to be. If we
And Bennett,
know,
how do you feel? Yeah, how do you feel our policy number 7 will it benefit La Joqueta Talpero? That, special skills training and so forth. How do you think that will benefit your constituency?
I have been an employer for most of my life in this island. Trinidad has been good to me, and hence my reason for returning to give something back to Trinidad. During my tenure here as an employer, all the guys in the neighborhood, most of them still around, they can vouch that they learned a skill by working with me. My business was in the steel fabricating enterprise. But not only did I produce steel fabricators, these guys were all rounded. They learned carpentry, they learned masonry, because when I did a job, I would tell them, hey, there may not be steel work every day, but there are other jobs. And if you're multi skilled, you can always have an income. So
Yes.
I believe in skills and higher education.
Excellent. Yeah, I agree. I agree. And I think that will just benefit the youths of your constituency. But Bennett, you mentioned a little while ago that, coming back to Trinidad, what made you come back to Trinidad in terms of, because ladies and gentlemen, this is a gentleman that, has lived abroad, and he was living in a country where everything works, and he has now returned, you know, by choice, not by
I,
force, by choice.
I want
Bennett,
to
what made you do that?
I want to see my country develop. I want to make
Yes,
things work. And when I see what has happened to our 300,000 truckloads of money, something ain't working because we don't
yes,
even have water, basic necessity like water.
yes,
And
yes, yes.
with the election around the corner, I have noticed on some of the days when I'm not scheduled to have water, I have water. So it proves
Right.
that water is available despite all what they're telling us. It's just that you create a situation, put people to think that when we give you water, we're doing something for you. So we need
Yes,
something in
yes,
return.
yes,
That's
yes,
extortion. We elect
yes.
a government every 5 years, and their aspiration should be to make life better for the people of the nation. So you don't have to bribe people anymore for their votes.
Agreed, Bennett. Bennett, have you ever turned on your pipe in the US and water never come out? Have you ever had that experience?
The pipe is designed for water, not air or just nothing. Even in the hurricane season, when electricity goes, we still have water in the pipe. I have never seen water gone in the
Yes,
developed world.
I have. Correct. I have never experienced that. And I'm not talking only from a US standpoint. I've traveled a lot worldwide. And Europe, I've never experienced that. Other Caribbean islands, I've stayed weeks and weeks at a time, have not experienced that. So you have to wonder, as Bennett is indicating, we are just subjects of deliberate incompetency and deliberate actions in this country, because water, something so simplistic as water, we are
Yep.
seeing our country still, Bennett, struggling. We're still struggling to get it right, you know?
Yeah. I recall before we gained independence, we had a well in our yard and we always had water. It wasn't the best because it was
Yes,
surface water, but when when I was a young man working with the consulting engineer that I started working with, and up came this big grandiose plan to have the Caroni Arena water project. It dawned on me, why couldn't we put these projects in the hills of the northern range, enclose the valleys, which will be naturally fed with clean water. So we didn't have to take clean water, send it down the Caroni River, pull it back out to clean it. What sense that makes?
yes,
It is the
yes,
same thing that we take the bounty of rainwater, wash it out to sea, pull it back to desalinate. So the systems were never designed to give us something. It was always
yes.
with giving their financiers and the people at the top big money.
Exactly. And Bennett, how is, every candidate I've interviewed so far has said lack of representation in their area. Are you hearing the same thing in La Roquette, Talpero?
Oh, yes, I spoke to one lady yesterday, and strange enough, she lived abroad, so she has something to compare with. And she was pointing out to us about the conditions of people having garbage on the streets. There was an old truck in front of her house. Maybe it's her family's, or I didn't get into that. But she was one of the positives, one who entertained thought that our lives could be improved. Not just accepting what was probably given and feeling happy that it was an upgrade from where they came. And the fact that she lived outside of this island gave her something else to compare with what she has.
Yes.
She was
Yes.
looking at an upgrade rather than a just acceptance.
Exactly. And Bennett, I think you will vouch for this. For those of us that have had, the privilege of living abroad, we have something to compare. Whereas, if you go to some areas in Trinidad, you wonder if they even have access to a television, a outside communication, because they seem to accept, Bennett, that this is what they should be settling for. Something as simple as water is like a gift. Whereas you want to tell them in most of the world, this is natural. This is what every citizen, so we as citizens, some of our citizens have settled for such the minimum, Bennett. I
Yeah.
don't know how you feel coming back, but I look at it and my heart is saddened because what we settle for here is so beneath what we deserve.
Of course, we as citizens of this country and everything that came here, that came out of this land, belong to all of us, not just a few of us. And I have always said it's our inalienable right, and therefore we deserve, because we are citizens of this land, a part of whatever was rightfully given to us.
Yes, agreed, 100%. Bennett, what are you telling the people about the Progressive Empowerment Party? Because I know it's challenging. I know I'm on the ground
Yeah.
every day. What do you tell them? What do you say that you think is making a difference to them?
Well, I tell them our mantra is like a rising tide, we lift all boats. Because I've never seen a tide that lifts the boats at the top and leave those at the bottom down or push them further down. Maybe that might happen across the Panama Canal, but we are a tide that will lift everybody to a higher level of a higher standard of living, rather than
Yes,
just lift
yes,
it up and leave those at the bottom further down.
yes. Yes, I mean, and especially in your constituency, we see the dynamic of, how Trinidad has become. It has become extremely rich and extremely poor. We see
That's what
where yes,
the system produces, that because we've been taught. And again, I want to touch on our constitution. It was never
yes,
written by us, it was written for us. We adopted a constitution that was handed to us by the monarchy, the Queen of England. And I like to equate things so it becomes very simple. It's like playing a game of football. We all know what football is. If you keep the game, the rules of the game that is, and you change the players, aren't we playing same football? If,
yes,
however, we change the rules of the game, hey, we're playing something different.
yes,
So if we
yes,
kept
yeah,
the Queen's rules and we just change the players, we're still playing the Queen's game. All that has
correct. Oh,
is that we
yes.
have replaced the Queen with a new Queen.
Correct. I refer to it. I tell everyone has the Queen left Trinidad because the
Also,
way we operate is so colonial.
right.
So
This is why
colonial.
we have the rich, extremely rich, and the extreme poor, because that's
Yes,
what colonialism has done to us. We have just
correct.
colonialists. We have
Yes.
continued the same program in a new style.
Yeah, Bennett, oh my God, you're hitting it on the nose because I preach that. I use that terminology because people don't understand, as a country. I mean, even going to the other Caribbean countries, you see they're very progressive. You look at Barbados, you look at Jamaica, you look at Antigua, you look at other islands, and they don't have that colonial mindset that we seem to think is the norm here or should be the norm, and we should settle for less than master slavery kind of mentality. People, time. It's time for change. Bennett has left a country where everything works. I was there too when Bennett, I don't know, what did your family think, Bennett? Because my family to this day thinks I'm crazy.
Well, yes, same here. They said to me, "You gotta be the craziest man that we ever knew." Apart from which, I have been through some medical issues here that my
Yes,
children were traumatized. For instance, when my daughter came into the hospital and saw me on that bed, she said, "That's not my daddy," with all these tubes and so on hooked up to me for life support. She said, "No way, that cannot be my daddy." And the good part of it is that I was missing a couple tooth, and that's where she fed me with the
yes,
syringe and so on. So so out of everything that's bad comes a good.
good.
Anyway,
Yes,
my family figure I am the craziest person they know, but I said country first.
yes,
I
yes,
thought at Trinidad there can be no Trinidadians.
yes,
So
yes.
I have
Well,
returned to make a contribution to my land, the land of my birth. I can never be a first class citizen in another man's land. I would
yes,
always be a second class citizen. Trinidad is my land,
exactly.
and I have returned here to put my hat in the ring and make a contribution. It's up to the people now.
Yes,
And save TNT people, vote PEP.
yes. Well said, Bennett. Well said. Ladies and gentlemen, you have just heard from the candidate for La Joqueta Talpero, Mr. Thomas Bennett Thomas. Bennett is a citizen of this country that is for country, as you have heard. He has given up all to come back to Trinidad to help his community, to help the citizens, and for us to understand as citizens we deserve better. So I agree with Bennett. Save TNT. So Bennett, that concludes our interview. I'm so happy you were able to make it on due to our technical issues, but don't worry, you'll get better at this technical stuff.
Oh,
And
God.
I'll, yes, and I wish you the best of luck. You have 10 more days. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, 10 more days till August 10th to make this country a better country. Vote PEP, save TNT. We look forward to welcoming you on another edition of Pep Talks in the Morning. Stay safe, Trinidad and Tobago, and until we meet again. Thank you, Bennett. Have a good day.
Okay, Michelle.
Safety and we
At
vote
this
in
time, go
PEP.
now.
Safety and
Okay.
Progressive Empowerment Party. PNT, we vote in PEP. Safety and Progressive Empowerment Party. Now it's time for real change. We don't want no exchange. PEP is real change. The rest of them is exchange. Now it's time for real change. We don't want no exchange. Now it's time for real change. Safety and we vote in PEP. Safety and progressive.
Trinidad and Tobago is in a crisis. For far too long, our people have been abused and silenced by our politicians and the business elite.
Just look around you. People are losing their jobs. Crime is at an all-time high. Our justice, education, and health systems have failed.
We all know the truth behind all that is wrong in our country. Corruption is destroying us. Billions of our dollars are being looted by a small group of business people that use our politicians to divide and distract us,
so they can take what they want, leaving us with no hope for a better country.
All of this is because we've never had leaders who seek the interests of the citizenry as their first priority.
I am here because I'm not taking it anymore.
I am here because I am not taking it anymore.
I am fed up of politics as it is in Trinidad and Tobago.
It is time we elect leaders with the backbone and the love of our people to go after the corrupt, evil elements in our country, hell-bent on serving their own pockets while we suffer.
And it is time that we as a nation take a collective stand against wrongdoing.
So we are making a plea to the nation to rally behind us.
Because our freedom of speech is being threatened by those who don't want us speaking out on these issues.
A man that I greatly respect is one of those leaders fighting for a better country. His name is Philip Edward Alexander, and he has bravely challenged the people and institutions that are destroying our nation.
To date, he has been threatened with 5 lawsuits for having the courage to ask state agency UDCOT on why the renovations of the President's house cost $89 million.
When experts in the field have estimated that that job should have never crossed 20 million.
Where did the rest of our money go? We refuse to stand by and allow any agency to use our courts to try and silence and punish Philip or any other citizen of our country for trying to seek the truth.
If you're fed up of corruption and want to be a part of real change, support Philip and the Progressive Empowerment Party in this fight.
This fight is not for him or us to bear alone.
It is a fight for you, our loved ones, and our friends.
It is a fight for the future of our country.
You can help by making a contribution to Philip's legal fees and help him and PEP expose the truth and shine light over the darkness of corruption.
Go to our website at peptt.com, click on donate and see all the ways you can pitch in.
There is hope. Our country can be saved, but we all need to stand together. My name is Felicia Holder, Chairman of the Progressive Empowerment Party, and I support Philip Edward Alexander and the PEP.
I support Philip Edward Alexander and the PEP.
I support Philip Edward Alexander and the PEP.
I support.
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 I support Philip Edward Alexander and the PEP.